Hello, everyone. Welcome to another CYSEC webinar. And I want to especially welcome those of us that are joining us for today's webinar. I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, please can you just signify? Hello, can you all hear me? Thank you so much, Damilola. All right, so this is another CYSEC webinar. And today's webinar, we'll be talking about the cybercrime and technology misuse. For most of us who don't know CYSEC in full, which is Cybersecurity Challenge Nigeria, is an NGO which have focus on identifying Nigeria's next generation of cybersecurity professionals. And we basically just connect the professionals, the best and the brightest, to the cybersecurity industry, and more reasons why we release different tips and hints on how to connect people who are trying to go into the cybersecurity field to the industry itself. So with that, having to throw special light on our topic, which is cybercrime and technology misuse, I would like to say that the advancement of technology can be what we security professionals and also users decide them to be. They are invaluable in their practical use, and they can be extremely harmful as well in principle. So technology itself doesn't threaten individuals, it doesn't threaten the society. It's basically the misuse of the technology that stands to be a threat to the society. And as well, I would like to say, in most cases, we can't say we should stop dreaming because we had a bad dream. For the fact that a portion of technology can be used harmfully doesn't mean we should scrap out technology completely. So technology may tackle individual or social, national, or global problems, but yet there is this unthinkable way with varieties of possibilities that technology can be abused, both consciously and unconsciously. And while we have these ethical issues to worry about, we as conscious technology users, the best we can do about our own end is to be aware of the fact that technology is literally a two-edged sword. You could use it for its very helpful use, and of course it can be extremely harmful as well. So with that being said, I would like you to join me alongside other speakers while we address some these issues and deal with the issues encompassing cybercrime and technology misuse. So the first person I would like to welcome aboard is Ms. Nancy from Kenya. She is a cybersecurity professional at that, and also part of the organizer. Ms. Nancy?
Yes, I can get you. Yes. I don't know if that's my cue to just start or.
Okay, with everything, I think it's best you could go ahead and start off.
Oh, okay, awesome. So I think I'll share my screen, just a minute. I don't know if I can do that.
Okay, just give me a minute. Yes, just give me a minute to do some.
Okay, awesome. So as I do that, I think I'll intro myself. I told you I have a bit of a okay, lights problem, so I may not be able to turn my camera on for today, but I'll share my screen. Just a minute. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is. I can see it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I think I'll start with an intro. Like you've said, I'm Nancy Moretti. and I'm a cybersecurity professional. I've been a pen tester for a while, but right now I'm doing more of cloud security. So I'm happy my colleague is on call. Tony, thank you so much for joining in. Like you said, yes, I'm part of the She Hacks Kenya. She Hacks Kenya is an organization here in Kenya, and we empower and inspire the cybersecurity community here in Kenya. With that, we have a number of programs that we run to see to this, as we do from high school reach outs to campus reach outs to professional empowerment. So yeah, that's me and She Hacks in a nutshell. So today, I'll promise I'll be brief. Actually, I noted I had like so much to say, but I'll try and use the time I'm given. So yes, I think I'll get started with some of the things we'll get to look into for this session. What exactly cybercrime means, because some people will equate cybercrime to hacking, which might not be equally as equivalent. So we'll also get to look into some of the categories of cybercrime, the types, and the ways in which we can combat cybercrime. So, sorry? Okay, I hope I'm still audible. Okay. Okay, sorry if I'm still audible. Do I proceed? Okay, if someone can unmute and tell me if I'm audible before I proceed.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, yes, you are. Go on.
Okay. So before I define what exactly cybercrime is all about, I would first of all I want to talk. I'll use this session to focus on ways in which cybercrime can affect an organization, and I'll start with mentioning that for any company, the cybersecurity posture is only as strong as the weakest link. And sometimes, in most cases, you'll find that the weakness in an organization may lie towards the employee, either ignorance, either they didn't know, or maybe carelessness. So a cybercrime is whereby I would say is where it has like two categories. For one, okay, if you ask for a cybercrime, it's just an unlawful act wherein the computer is used either as a tool or as a target or as both. So for this one, the very first cybercrime took place in the 80s, in 1820, I think, and from there, like the host mentioned before the starting of the session, is that as the more technology progresses, the more as a cybersecurity professional should be aware of the latest trends, because with new technologies comes new risks. So there are two categories of cybercrime, whereby one, if the computer is used as a target, so whereby I might decide as an attacker to use a computer to attack another computer. So this comes, we have the denial of service attacks, we have viruses, we have worms. We can also use, as an attacker, I can also decide to use a computer as a weapon. And I might decide to use a computer to carry out a crime. So it can be, we have cyber terrorism. I'm sure you've had stories. And as I proceed with my presentation, I'll be able to list some of these stories, some of these encounters that not only doesn't have to happen to you, but to others, something that's well known. So we have different types of cyber crimes. There are phishing scams, we have email and internet fraud. I'll not look into this in depth now, but I have explained it step by step. We have cyber extortion, cryptojacking, and we had child pornography. So I think I'll go to the next slide. So for phishing, phishing is an attack whereby me as an attacker, I'll try and disguise myself as legitimate to entice a victim to give in credentials, credit card numbers, and phishing attacks, phishing scams. I think it's like it occupies more than 90% of the cyber crimes that we see or we hear of, because phishing, for one, the reason I think it's really effective, for one, I think most people don't necessarily know, because, for example, if you're in cybersecurity, you know how a hacker thinks, how he might try and infiltrate a network, a computer, try and steal credentials and all that. But for someone who's not tech savvy, it's quite a challenge, and that's why I think even organizations, communities also have started spearheading phishing campaigns. Even in, I think there's a site, it's called Curricula. I think I can type that in the chat box later on. And what this site does, it gives employees in an organization cyber awareness. What are some of the things to expect? They basically just runs phishing campaigns. So for phishing, it's like I said, it's a very common method, and the user is fooled by a fake web page. For example, I was hoping I could do like a demo. I'm not sure I'll get time for that, but for me, it doesn't take me hours, or it wouldn't take an attacker hours to, for example, if I decided I wanted to get login credentials for any social media platform or something like that, I have as an attacker, the attacker might have the tools and the skills to create a website clone that looks exactly as the original page, but it's not. And for a normal user, they may not be able to detect that. They may not be able to tell the true, the real site from the scam site. So phishing has been there. It's still there, and we also have phishing can come in as an email. It can be sent as an email, and also, okay, I always, when I'm giving my talks, something that I always love saying is that when it comes to hacking, it's not a matter of if you'll get hacked, but it's a matter of when you'll get hacked. It's going to happen, especially for organizations, even for individuals. The moment we take cybersecurity as an important integral part for each and every one of us, the better, I think, the better we'll be at a better place. Okay, I don't know. Someone has unmuted, and I don't know. So yes, I think I'll move to the next one about internet. Okay. 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 Okay, thank you. So, secondly, I'll talk about email and internet scams. Okay, this is just screenshots of the famous Nigerian prince scam. This scam, it has it's whereby someone sent an email. Okay, just give me 1 minute, just a minute. Okay, sorry about that. So I was talking about the Nigerian prince scam. The Nigerian scam, I think most of us here have heard about it. Most of us here have heard about it. So it's whereby an email is sent from someone who pretends to be overseas and claims to be royalty, and the fraud will lure you by offering a certain, give you an idea of a certain huge investment, or they tell you that they need to leave the country or get back into the country with your help. And so many people have been conned through this. As you can see on my slides, I kind of highlighted some of these email scams, and they ask you either for your bank account so that they can put in the cash in your account, and you're told if this deal comes through, we'll give you like 50%, 30%, and they'll either take the payment, they'll disappear, or also they can clear your account. So for the Nigerian prince scam, it mostly it's people on the web who are referring it to a perfect storm of temptations, because they really get to prey on people's greed. It's like quick money, less investment, but really huge returns. So this is not the only internet fraud we have. Also here in Kenya, we've been having people pretend. For example, I pretend to be a teacher. For example, if you have kids, I pretend to be a teacher and I tell you your kid is unwell, and we need this amount of money to take your kid to the hospital to get checked and all that. So internet fraud and impersonation, it's something that has been there. Actually, I have been part of a child online protection program, and you get to realize that also not only individuals, not only organizations, but also kids are also at risk, because for a child, they may not be able to discern, this is the information that I shouldn't give to someone that I just met through the internet. And I would say the internet is both a blessing and also a curse, because what is happening is we are, especially now with COVID, we are very well communicate with or work for someone in the US, in Australia, name it. So internet fraud has also been one of the cyber crimes, and it has only risen. The numbers have only risen, and there are new scams every other day, especially money related, investment related. I think it's only going to get worse with time, because we've also, I don't know if you have had or encountered, okay, my machine is almost going off. I don't know if you have ever encountered or heard about carding. Okay, so I'm thinking I sent my slides so you can share from your end before my laptop goes off. Is that okay?
That was actually an interesting session.
Yeah, I don't know if I can I share my slides you display from your end? I don't know if that would
You
work.
can go ahead. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can go ahead and share.
Okay.
Yes, please do so.
Okay. Let me do that now. Okay, I've shared already. So maybe you can display from your end.
All right, so we apologize for the break in connection, but what Miss Nancy is actually trying to relate to us is the important, like she actually mentioned phishing scam, and I was like, yeah, phishing scam actually works a lot. And there are tools we particularly use in making these things. Um, like most of us who are pretty much good Linux users and cybersecurity professionals, we understand some certain tools like the HT track is also available for Windows and also actually Linux distro build. Now, these tools can help you to perfectly clone any type of websites. And of course, with your machine, you can actually create an HTTP server, which you can host those clone websites on those URL links, and they can be sent to anyone. And of course, can be used to carry out organized phishing scams. And the actual thing or the actual truth is that phishing or social engineering generally, because that is one aspect of cybersecurity that people tend to ignore. And that is where people get hit the most. And I'm talking about infrastructure, we're talking about organization and individuals as well. So social engineering generally, people fall into 90% of users of the internet fall into social engineering scams. And of course, money is being burnt yearly. I think the statistics that was made from, I think, PopSec indicates that we have over 3 billion that's actually been spent or that's been lost into social engineering scams. And these things keep on going on and on. And the reason why most of the times we actually profess or try to talk about we improving our cybersecurity awareness is because we are trying to mitigate the problems of having consistent social engineering scams. Okay, I don't know if Miss Nancy, I don't know if you're still up. Okay, so while we wait for her, I'll need to also still move forward to elaborate the importance of why organizations need to be aware of. I think most scams that happen to hit organizations are the phishing scam and then the email, we call it email spoofing. And there's some other types of attack, like what's this attack called? The attacks that actually particularly target individuals, and also people actually still fall into things like doxing. This could actually cause loss of personal and people's reputation. So social engineering scams, or just that, when technology is being misused, you get to see people lose reputation. They just don't lose reputation, they lose money as well. And when these two things are actually lost in individuals, it's most of them can move into depression, and it can even get worse than that. So I think in just some few more minutes, I'll be getting her screen up. I want to believe Ms. Nancy is still up, because I'm about to pop up your slide, so you continue from where you stopped.
Yes. Please do that.
All right, so you'll be coming up soon enough.
Thank you.
Okay. You can see the screen, right?
Yes, I think I can see from my end. Maybe unless someone has an issue.
Okay. Let's go to the next. Oh, I should still leave it here.
No, I think we can move to the next one. You've given a bit of what I wanted to say, so yeah, we can just move to the next one.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Yes. So on the next one is about cyber extortion. So cyber extortion is the act whereby a cyber criminal might decide to demand payment through the use of threats. You know, for example, I guess most of us here have watched Hollywood, whereby something happens and maybe one party has obscene pictures or videos of another party, and they kind of use that to extort the other party. So we have a crime like that in cybersecurity, whereby I might decide to, if I might decide to infiltrate a network or an organization and decide to use what I have against them as the organization. I might decide, for example, if it's a telecom, I believe Nigeria maybe have MTN. So if that's the case, I might decide I have user credentials, I have user details for anyone who uses that network, and I tell this organization that well, I want you guys to pay me this amount of money. If else, I'm going to expose everything that I know, all the data that I have. I'm just going to put it out there. And like you've said, this really looks bad for an organization, any kind of organization, because their credibility is lost, right? Because, for example, if I'm using a certain network and then they're hacked into, and what will happen is not many people, no one in their right senses would decide to make to associate themselves with that organization. It can be a bank, it can be a telecom, either the case. So for cyber extortion, the criminal would demand payment through the use of threats or some malicious ways to against a victim, and this might lead to data compromise. So I know maybe you've heard about ransomwares. These are the malwares whereby if I decide to infect your machine, your laptop, or your organization, either case, if I decide to what a ransomware does is, once it gets to the machine or to the network, it will encrypt everything that's on that network. So basically, even if it's an organization, you can't do anything. And well, in this case, the hacker or the criminal will reach out to the organization and tell them So I need you as the organization to pay me this amount of money, and then I will decrypt your data. Over the years, we've seen attacks like this happen to really Fortune 500 companies. It has happened not once, not twice. Like I said, it's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. So with this one, ransomware, I would say a ransomware and a cyber extortion, there's a slight difference, because for ransomware, you will force the business to pay up, or they will lose access to the stolen data. But if I'm extorting the organization, in this case, I'm threatening to data compromise whatever it is that I have on this team, on this organization, on this person. And this mostly leads to the victim leading to comply. And gone are the days whereby, well, there's this, okay, I cannot see my screen, so just a minute. Yes, so we have like very famous cyber extortion acts that have happened like over the years. So for one was the Nokia cyber extortion case. For this one, I believe we all know Nokia, or you've heard about it, or something like that, yeah? So what happened was the source code for Nokia's smartphone, it's called Symbian, was leaked to the public. And well, the attackers reached out to the organization and threatened them. We have this information on your source code, and if you guys don't pay up, this is what you are going to do with the data. Then, well, there were stories. People said that Nokia actually tried to pay the hackers, and they had agreed to deliver the cash, but that was like way back. But by 2006, Nokia had already they had already like shipped around is it 100 million devices countrywide, and they felt if this thing goes off, if this data is sent out there, everything, credibility, organization, it's a multi-million company, will just go down the drain. So that's one. The other one, I don't know which one. Let me check. The other one was the cloud, one more cloud cyber extortion case. Okay, for this one, what happened was there was an application infrastructure called Websand Bonsai, and it provided a one more cloud LCC. They were hacked in an almost similar way. And what happened was the attacker gained control of their AWS. I don't know if most of us have encountered AWS here. So they gained control of the AWS EC2 control panel of the organization, and they started to, they just wreaked havoc through that access. And what happened was, what really this organization, they had, maybe I would say the upper hand, is they were able to locate the compromised API access keys and removed it and revoked it immediately from their systems. And with this, one more cloud was able to recover its data and service, and everything was restored back in a couple of days. So cyber extortion, it's a reality, and I think it's a nightmare for.
For very close to that area.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say cyber extortion, it's a reality. It's here with us. You, like I said, you don't have to be an organization to be extorted like this. You know, I might decide if I want to personally hack someone specific. You can be a reputable person in the society, and I find very compromising things or stories or data about you, and I try and use that to my advantage. And cyber extortion, I would say, it kind of overlaps. If you think about it, it kind of overlaps with the other attacks that we have discussed already. Because if I phish you, if I decide, it's called a spear phishing, if I decide to personally hack someone specific, for example, and I get their data and I find something compromising or data that they wouldn't want to be out there, and I decide to extort them. Especially right now, we are in a world of cryptography. So right now, I don't have to back then when hackers, are using cash for this exchange. Right now, we have Bitcoin. So you'll make payments and you won't be able to trace back. You won't be able to trace back to the person you made the payment to. So also this makes it super difficult. So yeah, I think we can move to the next slide. So yes, the other one is cryptojacking. I think I'll discuss what cryptojacking is in a nutshell and how it works. So cryptojacking. Sorry?
No, yeah, you did. You talked about cryptojacking, but go on.
Oh, okay. Okay, so if I did, you can maybe move to the next slide.
That's the question and answers.
Okay. So
You can throw more lights on the cryptojacking anyways.
Okay. So cryptojacking, it's whereby a criminal will use a victim's computing power to generate cryptocurrency, and this can happen in two ways. An attacker might use to deploy a JavaScript script that's embedded to a site, whereby if in a certain site, for example, maybe I've decided to use Instagram on browser mode, and then as an attacker, I decide to inject ads or a JavaScript code that will redirect this user to maybe another site or something like that. So that's one way that cryptojacking can happen. So cryptojacking, I would say, well, okay, people argue that cryptojacking is not so harmful, but I would love to differ for that one because, well, in as much as nothing much is stolen, the power of the victim's computer is taken away. Like you will be mining cryptocurrency without your knowledge, and this can happen, and it's really hard to mitigate or detect unless maybe you're very observant or tech survey, of which I really advise people to don't be ignorant. You might be subject to either of these attacks. So what some of the things that you might notice is maybe on overheating, device is shutting. Okay. Can I proceed? Okay. Another way is the second way, like I said, the first one is the JavaScript code. The other one is I might be able to create a link that will entice a victim, a link that will load the crypto mining code on the computer. So how cryptojacking works Okay. How cryptojacking works is I'll trick the victim into loading a crypto mining code into their computers, and this will be easily done through phishing. And
It's too much.
okay.
First of all, we'll meet Oga Abdullahi. Oga Abdullahi is calm and, we'll listen to you. Gashon Abare came out.
We apologize for that. I'm meeting them right now.
That means anybody who do to just do on This organ only. For the
Khalid. No, Khalid is not there.
It's still
No new person today.
Wow.
Hey, it's like
Sorry, I request Mr. Dauda. Please, you should be muted. We can go on now. We can go on now, Ms. Nancy. Ms. Nancy, you can go on now.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I think I was muted. So I was explaining how cryptojacking works. So for one, like I said, there are two methods, and I think I've given an overview of how that comes to place. So the victim might receive a phishing link. Like I said, phishing looks super legitimate. You may not be able to tell them apart, but what happens is, for example, if I decide to clone, I think I had mentioned that, clone a site, what I'll do is I'll create a replica of the original site, and as the victim, you will log in, right? When you click in that link, I'll ask for your credentials, which will key in, and after you key in, you will be redirected to the legitimate site. So for someone who's not keen, you might not be able to tell apart, but maybe next time, sadly, we'll do a demo, and I'll be able to demonstrate this. So yeah, like I said, so the link, after the link is after the victim clicks on the link will run code that places the crypto mining script on the computer, and after this, the script will then run in the background, and the victim might not be aware of what is happening in the background. And some of this code, this cryptojacking attacks, they have, most of these viruses have the worm, they function like worms. That means it will affect any other machine or device that's connected to the infected machine. In other times, you might find these viruses have the capability to replicate. For example, I think it was last year or the year before that, whereby China came up with those a virus that had been discovered, whereby it attacks the operating system. Like, even if you get rid of the OS, even it attacks the hardware components of a machine. So even if you get rid of the operating system and get a new operating system, your machine will still have the virus. So I think that's a very that's our cue as professionals in this field, to know that with new technology comes new risks. So I think at this point I'll take questions. yeah, I think I've really tried to summarize everything I had to fit in the time. So
All right, we really appreciate you for your time. And just before your questions come in, I would really like to announce to everyone that it's sadly enough, Mr. Mike Popham had a little emergency, so he couldn't make it up to the webinar. And Mike Popham was supposed to be our third, our next presenter from US, but he was never to make it, so we apologize for that. So yes, your question can come in now. Do you have any questions? Right. So in the absence of questions, because I'm not seeing any other chat box yet, I would really like to thank Ms. Nancy for an awesome presentation. But before we go, I would like to actually state the fact that yes, we've tried to analyze the different types of cybercrime that happens, and we're talking about more of the latest and recent ones that happen. I want us to know that technology is really eating the world, and we are surrounded by technology more than ever before in the history of the human race. And actually, most of us have multiple devices. We have our tablets, our laptops, our phones, and all the time we demand for real time, everything real time. And we all know that the public space relocated to Twitter. So Twitter is more like the world's marketplace, I would say. And so much of our lives are now virtual than real, and if that is even a thing, and we can actually tell to that. So what purpose should technology serve? If we recall, we get to realize then, back in time, when technology was used, for example, the WhatsApp or Facebook, were basically used then to eliminate human plodding. And plodding now means, say, the slow moving and unexciting or the unexcitement. After a person have gone through a series of hard work and labor, they just use it to unwind. But right now, technology has evolved more than just that. And yes, it gives us power, and even though it gives us power, it cannot tell us how to use that power. Technology gives us power, but it can't tell us how to use that power. And that was something a philosopher once said, and that is a person of, I think, Jonathan Sachs mentioned that, and he's a philosopher. So added to that, I want us to understand that, for example, nuclear power is a very good example of technology that is up. And yes, we don't want to ban the energy production it provides, but we would like to prevent nuclear weapons from being created. So technology requires good governance and international treaties. So with that, you can see the reason why I mentioned in the introduction during my intro speech that the fact that technology is good, it has some bad aspects, doesn't make us to completely waive it. And that's why I said we shouldn't stop dreaming because we had a bad dream. So more of the example on that, talking about the nuclear power, even though it's a good example, we don't want to stop creating the energy, but we actually want to reduce or prevent more nuclear power, so nuclear weapons should be made. So any technology advancement, any technological advancement, however big or small, reduces the drudgery in human life, reduces the boringness. The Industrial Revolution reduced physical labor back in the years, and we're talking about back in the 18th and 17th. While the internet revolution has actually made the world to seem flat, and we tend to overestimate the fact or the effect of technology towards human and how it affects us in the long run. And I saw a post back then, days back, which actually got me thinking about it. It says the internet didn't make people stupid, it exposed people's stupidity. And it even went further to state that although some learned advanced stupidity through it, So it actually makes me think, and more reason why I mentioned the fact that technology in itself is a double-edged sword, and it could be used the right way, and it could be used even more in the wrong way. You could tell that most of the times, if you try to grade the world, you discover that it's almost as though there's been a consistent and contention between the good use of technology and the bad use of technology and all of that. So data, more reasons why we have policies, we have some particular structures that have been set by by countries to maximize or control how data are being used, or how any companies that have to do with or handle people's real data, they have companies or structures that have been set in place to manage how they make use of or store their data. So with that being said, I think I would prefer to just a little bit do a wrap up by telling us one of the few things that we could experience, some of the little side effects of technological use. And one of them is a psychological effect. Ms. Nancy already mentioned of the fact that companies who are being hit by ransomwares and instead you can never tell the kind of great loss that they have experienced internally and even externally. You get to see people's investments, people investing into Nokia. The Nokia she gave an example of. And most of the times, the first thing it causes is the psychological effects, which is what I actually will talk about. Let me start by talking about the psychological effect. It could cause depression and anxiety. So the overuse of technology may have more significant impact on developing children as well, and talking about teenagers. And I want to emphasize on something I call the deep fake. So you know that technology can be used to frame people, and that is where we have the deep fake, where we have somebody can frame a person using different types of tools, Photoshop things to make them look real, or video editing tools that have been advanced to make a person or ruin a person's reputation over time. So these things, sometimes we see them, but we don't really notify and identify that they're real. So we also have isolation. So this causes isolation as well. One of the bad effects of social tech, or the side effect of the misuse of tech, isolation. You get to see a lot of people spend more times on their devices than actually doing recreational activities, meeting people. And with that being said, it will cause a lot of physical damage to our own physical body. And we talk about some of them. Some people have had times, a lot of, I think this year, just months back, on Twitter, a lot of people complained about having ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And I was just really wondering, like, what is this technology really taking us to? And just a little of the physical effects. Most of the doctors always emphasize about most of us who use a lot of technological device to always protect our eyes. And those of us who actually saw me on the screen, you realize I have my glasses on. And this is for eye protection, because too much of these things can cause you eye strains and difficulty focusing on things. Also, you have people who have sleep problems, poor postures, and reduced physical activities over time. So this is a really amazing session, and I want to particularly thank everyone who have stayed to this point. So without much, I would like to still ask if any one of us still have questions so far. And just to also remind us that this particular webinar will be recorded. It's actually being recorded, and every participant is going to get a mail of the recorded version of this. And of course, if you want the slides, they could also be sent over to you. And you can go on our social media websites. I'll be dropping on the chat box how you can actually link to us, or send us mails, or bring in your questions if you like. And all of that. So also you'll be receiving notifications about the upcoming events. For some, so like I saw someone asking about that, Mr. Abdul Aliyu, you'll be having notifications about upcoming events directly to your mails, and you could follow us on any of our social media. You can follow us on our social media. We are live on YouTube, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and we have a ton of content. And I want to also address the fact that the contents we pull are not just only particularly meant for the cybersecurity people and tech savvy. People who are not into tech needs to be self-aware about the common threats, updated about the of the ways people are being scammed, and how to protect not just themselves, their infrastructure as well. So when you get webinars from us, do so to follow us and like us, and follow our social media pages. Okay. So yes, we'll also look forward to showing you live demo of most of these things we've displayed, we've explained here. If you've noticed, some of our previous webinars actually have live demos of things we've carried on in the past. So with that being said, I don't know if anyone have any more questions. Okay, you can go ahead. You have a hand raised. You can speak up, Miss Nelson. Miss Nancy, you can unmute your mic.
Okay, so
Okay.
I was not able to unmute. So I actually felt I should mention something as a parting shot before we end the session. Well, some of the things that you can consider when to ensure, like I said, we have phishing campaigns, right? You might decide to have this as a community, as an organization, and there's some of the things that from my experience, I know can make a phishing exercise super effective. So maybe I'll just highlight that like real quick. For one, you try as you run your phishing campaigns, use a phased approach. This means that include the pre and post training tests, because that's very important, because like I said, as I was doing my presentation, that major breaches happen and involve human error or human carelessness or ignorance. So this means that, like I said, 91% of phishing happens because of a human error. This means that it's a human solution. That's a major solution that we need. Also, you can try and use real life examples. Okay, for example, if you're training a team of non-tech survey people, right? People who are not so technical in an organization, because in an organization you'll find so many departments. So as you're doing these trainings, try and make it as realistic and give examples that these people can relate to, right? Because that's also a very important trait for a cybersecurity professional. You should know how to speak non-tech, so also review results from the tests and the campaigns that you hold, review results. The reason for this is you'll be able to identify patterns. You'll be able to identify what's a problem that a certain employee or a department of employees are facing. What is the failure margin for this team? What are some of the risks? What is the pattern? Are they scammed or phished through emails mostly? And what's happening from the training and from the campaigns that you're running? How can we curb this? Also, you can also try and understand, it's also very important, like you said, when an attack happens, most of these companies don't know how to bounce back, but for any organization that's running, they should have that in the risk and compliance. Yeah, so you can also basically, whether your tech survey, this is like the very last one, is eliminate silence. Let people know these things are there. Anyone can be attacked, anyone can be a victim, and you can be tech survey and you can also be a victim. It also happens. So I believe silence is like the middle ground between an attack that might happen and a serious breach. So yeah, I think that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Someone is asking what if my machine have been how can I tell if my machine has been cryptojacked, like mining a coin without my knowledge? How can you tell that? I think you actually referenced it though, but you can see through little light in case they missed that.
Sorry, I think I missed that question. If you come up again, kindly.
Okay, Mr. Damilola Osanyibi is asking, what advice do you have for those who trade cryptocurrencies and navigate through the blockchain space to guide against cryptojacking? And also Kwame Franklin is also asking that how can he tell if his machine has been cryptojacked, like mining a coin without his knowledge?
Well, for one, how you would tell that you're a victim of cryptojacking, like we said, cryptojacking kind of takes away that power that you have over your machine as the owner. So you might notice some slowdown in device performance because, for one, this is happening in the background. You will not be notified this is actually happening in your machine. So there might be a slowdown in the performance. There might be sometimes overheating on devices. Some devices shut down. There might also be reduced productivity of your device or the network that you're on. And yeah, I would say that would be it in a nutshell. So there are also things that you can do to make sure that you prevent this. You can continuously monitor things, the resources on your computer, like the speed, the power usage. You can also try and use browser extensions that are designed to block coin mining. Use more privacy focused and blockers. You can also use that for your as you're browsing, and you can also install the latest software updates. That's also very important. Make sure that the security patches are there, and also you can block pages that might or deliver cryptojacking scripts. So yeah, I think that covers it, unless
just some more questions I see here before I pick up a question from Mr. Williams. Here is asking, what do you do if you find yourself in a cyber extortion situation, what advice do you give to that? If a person finds himself in a cyber extortion situation?
Well, for one, I would say, well, I don't know how to advise because different teams or different organizations take different approaches. I would say first it depends. Like the second extortion, the cyber extortion example I gave, they were able to they were able to mitigate the attack. They were able to find out what was wrong with what the attacker had on them, and they were able to use that to their advantage and stop the attack overall. So I would say it really depends. It really depends with how much you stand to lose, for one. If you're an organization, I think there's so many other things to consider especially for an organization. There's so many things to consider before you decide if you go ahead and make the payment or what's the next step, because that's why it's very important to have for every. I love the fact that right now cybersecurity has now become a thing, that we have cybersecurity people and infosec professionals even in boardrooms. Those are things that were not happening back then. We are now more involved in the business process from the beginning to the end. And yeah, I would say it depends. It depends with the organization and what they stand to lose. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Williams, are you still with us? You can ask a question. Oh, I think he's probably out. Okay, that was it. That I understand what you emphasized about. It depends on preference. Yeah, that is actually true. I think most times when people ask me for the same, what are my ideas, you end up actually basically giving them something that might work for one organization but might not work. So most of the time it's best to actually lay different preferences, and it's best they choose from those preferences what suits their organization. Or you might want to also, as a professional, understand the structure of the organizations, and then you know what preferences suit them. Okay, yes, Mr. Williams, I think you're here. You could speak and ask a question.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask if the cryptojacking you're talking about in this aspect is a clickjacking type of attack. Are you talking about cryptojacking as a clickjacking type of attack that involves cryptocurrency payment, or is it a completely different thing? Thank you.
Yeah. I'm talking about the one that involves cryptocurrency.
Okay,
I'm talking about the one that involves cryptocurrency, because if we look at the other attack without involving cryptocurrency, if you go to a site and the ads, the JavaScript code runs and all that, that's a different kind of attack, right? Whereby you are redirected from the browser that you're on and you're directed to another browser or to another site or to an ad or something like that. So yeah, I'm talking about cryptocurrency. So I don't know if that answered your
Thank you.
question.
I hope that answers the question.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Because I think we should call it a day already by now. Any more questions? We could take one more questions. One more question. We'll take one question. And I've dropped at the at the chat box, our social media handles, you could follow us there, and you want to get more content, and you want to follow, see our past webinars, both hands-on and also for non-tech savvy. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Any more questions? Right. In the absence of any, I want to thank you, Ms. Nancy. It was indeed an amazing session with you, and we hope to see you some other time. Come do some of your practical hands-on regarding most of the examples you've made. Thank you, everyone, and we'll call it a day here. And you can watch out for our next webinar, which will be like most of us who are followers, you understand this is being done every month. So this CYSEC webinar is done every month. So expect the next webinar, which will be coming up next month. Thank you once again, everyone.